Welcome back to the channel. Thank you guys for hanging with me on this Sunday. Now, I did a video last week, medium diving crankbaits, that 5 to 9 foot range, the baits you're gonna use, the colors. Now, shallow cranking is a lot different because when you're medium cranking, you usually have at least a couple feet of visibility. When you get into shallow water, you don't always have that much visibility. Sometimes you will have 6 inches of visibility. So your colors are going to be quite different in my square bills, my shallow running crankbaits, than they are in my medium diving crankbaits. So today I want to give you a couple baits that are just magic as we get a little further along in the spring. Why a crankbait is so important in the colder months, and a few scenarios where I've caught some fish throwing some wacky looking colors. So guys, I want to thank you for liking this video. If you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button. That's going to help the channel out a lot. And if you left me a comment, I love to talk fishing, so thank you for doing that as well. All right, so when I'm shallow cranking in the springtime, bright colors to me are magic. You know, I've witnessed red be sunny, calm, clear. It doesn't matter. There's something about the forage that they're eating that when they get on red, it is the best possible color you can be catching them on. When I'm catching them on red and they're getting it down in their mouth, I know there's nothing else that I really need to be fooling with. Same things with chartreuse and the oranges. When they can see a bait and they want to feed like they typically do in the early months, they're coming out of deep water, they've been in the abyss, they haven't really been focused in on anything, they get shallow, they're looking at targets, and bright things are going by them like a natural forage would be in the springtime, and they're going to get it. So if I'm fishing any type of off-colored water, it's all about the bright oranges, the bright yellows, and the bright reds, and not just on the cloudy, low light days. Sunny days, they will still bite those colors. In the colder months, you have fish that are going to be moving around feeding on bright sunny days. They need the sun to really warm up the areas so they move in, stay close to the bottom, and there's not a better bait than a crankbait. So why I think cranking is so important, when you have those chilly, stagnant water temps, like 48 to 51, where bass just aren't real active, a lot of times you got to get them to react. And the best way to get a bass to react is to keep that bait in the strike zone and continuously making casts to the same target. So on the first or second cast, they might not bite it. It may take 3 or 4 casts to get a fish to react. Now, the problem with your spinner baits and your chatter baits, they're just hard to fish once you get off of flats. If you're a little bit of a steeper bank, or you're trying to get your bait to bang off a target that is coming down a bank, it's hard to do with those other baits. You keep a chatterbait a little bit too far off the bottom, it's going to be too far above the fish's head. If you are leaving it hit in the rocks, it's going to get hung between the rocks. So a crankbait, as weedless as it is, it's a lot easier to fish when you need to keep that bait against the wood, against the rocks. And the same thing goes for a spinnerbait. You start winding a spinnerbait too fast, you're just going to pull it above their head. You wind a crankbait too fast, you're going to be grinding it, but keeping it still in the strike zone. You pause it, you're going to get those fish to react. So I think it's very important when you have those chilly water temps where the fish just do not want to do anything, a crankbait should be your #1 weapon. And if you also look at the profile, this is a chatterbait, full-size chatterbait with a really small trailer. This is a 4-inch Magic Shad, the smallest trailer that I typically put on this bait. But if you put it next to a 1.5, it's almost 2 times as big as a 1.5. So I think if you have big fish in your lake that are used to big forage, you can catch them on a chatterbait in really cold water. But if they're not, the bluegill aren't real active that time of year. It's more so crayfish and shad imitators, and this is a much more realistic shad size in the colder months. So on most lakes, not all lakes, but most lakes. So I think it's very important while you're out there, you're thinking about what your wife told you to do. You're thinking about all the other things you have on your plate, and you've went a couple hours without a bite. Just keep winding that crankbait. It's going to stay in the strike zone. You don't necessarily have to be focused in between the 1 or 2 hours you go without a bite, because in the colder months, 6 or 7 bites a day is typically what you're going to get. and you can just keep that crankbait in the strike zone, keep it near the rocks, keep it near the sticks. Very important to stay there, stay patient, stay as focused as humanly possible. You will catch more fish, and bright colors are the key to catching big ones in the spring. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the water.